I've been in the building since early 1994, which makes this my 30th year.
I'm studying arts at university, and this is my life now.
I think one of the most special pieces I wear these days is this pair that I'm wearing now. And that's simply because one of my apprentices made them for me. She's the only person who ever made me a pair of shoes.
We always share between us, and that makes a really good creative economy.
Community means a lot to me. It means how human beings actually should be operating in late capitalism.
It's an ongoing life for the objects of the person. And
in 1995, I came to visit a milliner, Mandy Murphy, who was in this building. And she said to me, there's lots of empty rooms in this building, why don't you move in here? Which I thought was very generous of her. I'm Louise McDonald. I'm a milliner, which means I make women's hats. And I've been doing that for the last 30 years here in the Nicholas building. It's sort of like a sculpture to me, a sculpture that you can wear. So I was making hats for film and television productions for about 5 years. Things like Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth and Jennifer Earley, and some Merchant Ivory films and that sort of thing were, a great experience and great for my millinery career. And at the time we were working on them, no one had any idea how successful those productions would be. Everyone here sort of, respects the creative process, and it's lovely to be part of that community. It feels like a little creative hub. It's a beautiful building with high ceilings, beautiful views, and quite sort of unique. But essentially, I have to say that I do feel proud that I've been able to make a living as an artist, because it's a hard road.
So I think the Nicholas building is like a village. Hi, hello, I'm Maria from Laneway Learning. Laneway Learning is a charity, and we do what's called community education. We get to try 16 different classes a week, hobbies, activities, life skills, and every class you try, every little sort of thing you get out of your comfort zone is like a push-up for your brain. So doing a few classes a week means that you're actually making your brain healthier over time. Laneway Learning is so much more than a job, I guess. It's being part of a community of people. It's seeing the people come in and really enjoy the classes, and I feel like we're actually doing such a beneficial thing for society in the years to come, and that a lot of the people that come to classes have not only a better understanding of the social fabric, because at the classes you might talk to people of all sorts of backgrounds, also political backgrounds, ideas, but they all come together to learn, and that's something that only happens in a community space. So I feel like every day is like amazing in the sense that I get to not only teach and meet amazing people, but I get to do like my life's mission every day, and I feel like I've already accomplished pretty much as much as I wanted. How people say like I could die tomorrow and I'll be happy. I'm certainly sure that I've ticked 1,000 times the boxes of things I can do in life.
Once you're running a gallery, dealing with artists and the public is a breeze. It uses your technical skills and your people skills. I'm Stephen McLaughlin in my eponymous gallery. I run the gallery, I'm not an artist. I guess since I've been young, I've actually enjoyed arranging things, and therefore running a gallery where over the 30 years I've been here, I've had 500 exhibitions. Every 3 weeks, I work with an artist and their wonderful creations, displayed in a room in a beautiful old building. It's my winter coat, my summer bathers, my nightshirt. Yeah, in other words, being silly, but in actual fact, it's so much a part of me that I don't really even think of it that way, because I couldn't imagine myself without being part of my life.
I kind of got very lucky, and the timing was right. My name's Amani. I'm 22, and I run Asphalt Books in the Nicholas building. I moved in February of this year, Before moving in, I knew the Nicholas building as an arts precinct. I came to shows and galleries, and I came to another bookshop on level 6. It's a sole business, like it's just me. The more work I do, the more rewarding it is. The priority for me was just paying rent and being able to make sure I had new stock for people. I love it though, like people are still discovering it every day. They've asked how long I've been here for and they get really excited, which is nice. And I have a lot of regulars now and I love meeting new people. I learn so much from other people. They're always giving me new things to read and new things to research. I just think the sheer amount of learning that is in it, I'm just like constantly, subconsciously absorbing information that I don't even realize, and I wouldn't have been able to without this business. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
I'm Brendan Dwyer. I'm a shoemaker in the Nicholas buildings. I've had these studios for 26, 27 years now. And, I was lucky I chose the right building because all the other buildings I was offered leases in at the time have been turned into something else since then. So I struck it lucky in choosing a building that had sort of the longevity and the style that suits what I do. I've made shoes for maybe 20 films. I made a pair of shoes for a film called The Revenant, which was filmed up in Queensland last year. I made some shoes for some, Netflix series that was being filmed up around Horsham. I made shoes for B-grade horror movies. I've made shoes for 2 Ned Kelly movies. But they're just interesting. They're just shoemaking. The longest I've spent on a shoe is maybe a week and a half just to finish one pair of boots for an exhibition. But I just enjoy the craft of making shoes and the fact that each thing is suitable for its purpose and it has a little bit of me attached to how it's been made and who owns it. For me it's like there's been several generations of people in the building, and then there's people who were in the building when I got here who are long gone. There was R.J. Harvey's, the tailor suppliers that had been here for 35 years. There was Miss Sylvan, the podiatrist up on the 7th floor, who kept coming in right to the end with a walking frame to see clients. The lift ladies that were here, they acted at the time as kind of the cohesive glue of the building because they knew who was in and they kept parcels for people. It's a little less formal now because you just meet people and find out what they do at exhibitions or through meeting them downstairs having coffees. I'm going to come in tomorrow and make another pair of shoes.
My name's Mary Burgess. I'm a hand weaver, and I've been working in the Nicholas building when I left in January. My partner died 14 years ago, and I wove a blanket for myself with his clothes. And when I finished weaving that, I realised how comforting it was and thought this was something I could do for other people. So that's how it started. My business is called Woven Memories, and I've been working with clients ever since. I always think, I have no idea what I'm going to do here. How am I going to honour this person with these clothes and what I weave? And what I weave sort of gradually emerges through a process, and it's almost like when it's finished, it's no longer part of me. It's got a life of its own. So I was in the building for 10 years, but I left in January. And I think it's been an incredibly important part of my development as a craftsperson. I started the Woven Memories business while I was in here, and being part of this community has been fantastic. And I miss that a great deal.
You probably are aware that the rents have been increased, well, for some people like myself, been increased by 50%, which is, a huge amount.
Most of the artists have left the building because they cannot afford the new rent.
And I am in the process of, considering my options.
Artists and artisans have been replaced with storage, with just giant corporations needing an extra space to put office things.
Because it's not just the increase in rent, it's the increase of the rental market out there, because I'm in the rental market. It's the increase in prices of everything, and it's just, it's technically unnecessarily ramping, because the rent is irrelevant to the owners because they're about to sell it for a bucket load.
What I've found is a lot of people who, when the rents went up, said, oh, gee, I can't afford it, I'll find somewhere else. When they looked elsewhere, the rents were the same and the actual building was less interesting. So suddenly they'd been living in a bit of a dream world for a while. The minute they had to get real, they discovered they weren't, it was still a challenge, but they weren't quite as bad off and it wasn't quite the building's fault.
But there's a lot of people who have moved out, and that's very disappointing for them to have had to make the move. They've either gone back home, some people have moved to smaller rooms.
It was feasible for artists to just work in these spaces as their studio, but now you have to be making money in these spaces. You can't rent a room in here and not be having a consistent income as well.
It's a rude shock, but it brings us up to kind of market expectations.
And in lots of ways it's because of the current owners that there has been a creative community in this building because of the way they have managed rents in the past. But I think it's tragic that neither the state government nor the City of Melbourne have been able to, or philanthropists, come to the party to sustain the creative community, because it is just so special and it is falling apart.
I have to work my ass off to make ends meet now.
I don't want to be working more hours, I want to be working less hours.
I am Dario Pacheca. I am the president of the Nicholas Building Association. I've been in the building since 2004. Then when the building went on the market, it was a really big couple of years, I guess, of campaigning, which included advocacy and lobbying work, working with government, working in the media, and trying to get support like far and wide in order to preserve the community here. We're now working with lots of creative partners in the area, in Flinders Lane, lots of different venues on a festival at the end of the year. So that's really important to kind of showcase, the importance of the creative community in the local economy. So our long-term solution for this building is to set up what could be called a creative community land trust, and/or seeking enough finance to buy the building outright. But I see it being a really important part of our cultural fabric, it being kind of a bit of a leader and a beacon of this kind of project.
This building is not just unique to Melbourne. There are very few creative communities in buildings like this around the world.
When you have a lot of creative people in the same space, a lot of magic can happen.
It's about actually holding on to your values right in the centre of town, as opposed to being driven out into the outer suburbs. So this community is everything. Saving it is really, really important.